Can you imagine it in just one morning? Thousands of people taken away, entire neighborhoods falling into silence, children sobbing because they do not know where their parents have gone. This is no longer a fictional scenario. This is America, and it is happening right now. Welcome to our channel, a place that does not just deliver news but reveals what truly lies behind the headlines. We are here to speak the truth behind the numbers, behind the quiet operations, behind the stories forgotten in the rush of public opinion. Today you will witness one of the most unsettling developments spreading across the United States, a large-scale deportation campaign unfolding simultaneously in multiple states, thousands of people detained, hundreds labeled as gang members, and a nation standing face-to-face with the biggest moral question of the immigration era. We are not here to repeat numbers. We will bring you to the ground where footsteps echo in the early morning, where children are awakened by flashing lights, where neighbors disappear behind doors that may never open again, and where real questions are still waiting for real answers. If you care about the truth, if you want to understand what is really happening behind the raids, if you believe the right to know must never be silenced, subscribe to this channel now and prepare yourself for a journey deep into what the mainstream has yet to uncover. Because behind what is unfolding today may be the very thing that defines what America becomes tomorrow. On the morning of May 17, 2025, sensational headlines flooded social media. Massive deportation operation begins. Thousands of gang members captured overnight. America is clearing out the slums. These claims quickly went viral, sparking a wave of divided public opinion, some cheering in support, others reacting with shock and fear. However, when digging into the actual figures, the truth does not fully align with the dramatic tone spreading online. According to an official statement released early that morning by the Department of Homeland Security, the current enforcement actions are part of a coordinated series of ongoing operations across more than 25 locations, nationwide, targeting individuals with final deportation orders or known affiliations with organized criminal groups. ICE confirmed that since May 14, more than 2,400 individuals have been taken into custody for investigation, but the agency has not confirmed any numbers resembling the thousands of gang members claimed in some viral posts. Among those detained, 1,100 are classified as having criminal records or suspected gang affiliations, though the Department of Homeland Security emphasized that legal verification and background checks are still ongoing. Notably, several posts on X have claimed that ICE deported 1,000 people in just 24 hours, often citing unclear or unverifiable sources. Meanwhile, according to Reuters on May 16, 2025, ICE has completed 37,000 deportations since January, a figure accumulated over more than 4 months. This casts serious doubt on the feasibility of mass deportations, numbering in the thousands within a single day, both in terms of logistical capacity and legal process. In short, the operation is real and intensifying, but claims of massive overnight arrests and deportations remain largely unverified and exaggerated. In a climate of heightened tension and information overload, what matters is not just the numbers, but the truth behind each individual being detained. There is no need to turn on the TV. Just stepping outside in certain neighborhoods is enough to sense that something unusual is unfolding. From El Paso to Chicago, from the Bronx in New York to suburban districts of Atlanta, a wave of militarized presence has left residents both stunned and anxious. In El Paso, Texas, long considered an epicenter of immigration activity, light armored ICE vehicles and Black Hawk helicopters were seen arriving before dawn. According to KFOX 14, over 200 federal agents were deployed simultaneously in high immigrant density neighborhoods. A widely shared video on X filmed in Boyle Heights, Los Angeles, shows drones shining searchlights onto rooftops as loudspeakers issued warnings in English and Spanish at 4 a.m. All individuals without valid documentation exit the building and follow instructions. In Little Village, the largest Latino neighborhood in Chicago, dozens of individuals were reportedly taken from their homes within just a few hours. Eyewitnesses described the scene. No advance notice, no door knocks, just flashing lights, sirens, and tense silence. Many residents said they had no idea who had been arrested or where they had been taken, only that a once vibrant community had suddenly gone quiet and cold. One mother from Guatemala shared that her 8-year-old daughter cried all day because her father did not come home. No one is telling us anything. In Atlanta, according to CBS News, arrests occurred in parking lots, construction sites, and street markets where ICE agents reportedly used mobile facial recognition devices to verify identities in real time. Though ICE has stated that they are only targeting dangerous individuals, the reality on the ground appears far more chaotic. Communities with long-standing immigrant populations, many of whom work, raise children, and contribute to local life, are now gripped by fear, confusion, and deep mistrust. For many, these raids feel less like a strategic operation and more like a sweeping disruption of daily life. Families are being pulled apart without warning. Neighborhoods are falling into silence. And the question that lingers in the minds of many is not just who is next, but is anyone safe at all? While official statements frame the operation as a targeted crackdown on dangerous individuals, the lived reality tells a more complicated story, one filled with broken families, mistaken identities, and communities thrown into chaos. One of the most widely discussed cases is that of Maria Elena, a single mother of three living in Anaheim, California. Despite having no criminal record and working legally under a temporary protection status, she was detained early this morning due to a database mismatch involving an individual with a similar name and birth year. Her children, all United States citizens, are now staying with a neighbor uncertain when or if their mother will return. According to her attorney, Maria had no prior ICE encounters and was never linked to any criminal investigation. Stories like hers are surfacing across the country. Immigration lawyers and nonprofit organizations report that dozens of individuals detained in the past 72 hours had no known gang affiliations or criminal histories. According to a legal briefing by the National Immigration Law Center, some were arrested solely based on outdated records or algorithmic matches from flawed surveillance systems. This raises a critical question. Is ICE prioritizing accuracy or speed? Critics argue that the current sweep risks casting too wide a net, ensnaring undocumented immigrants who have lived in the United States for years, paid taxes, raised families, and contributed to their communities. Even individuals with minor administrative violations, such as expired visas or missed court dates from years ago, have reportedly been targeted. One 19-year-old DACA recipient in Phoenix was briefly detained before being released, but not before missing an important college exam and suffering public humiliation in front of classmates. Beyond the arrests themselves, the psychological toll is mounting. According to a report from the Migration Policy Institute, children in immigrant families experience elevated levels of anxiety, depression, and trauma when a parent is detained or deported. School counselors in cities like Houston and Denver have already reported a spike in emotional distress among students. The chaos extends beyond family walls. Small businesses owned by immigrants are reporting a steep drop in customers, while churches and community centers are overwhelmed with requests for legal aid and emergency assistance. Behind every arrest statistic is a human being, and behind every enforcement action, a ripple effect touching the lives of many more. The unfolding crackdown has ignited a national debate that cuts across ideological, racial, and geographic lines. For some, these enforcement actions represent long overdue justice. For others, they mark a humanitarian crisis and a breach of fundamental values. In Austin, Texas, a group called Safe Streets Now held a press conference on May 17, 2025, applauding ICE's actions. Standing in front of local media, the group's spokesperson stated that they are not against immigration, they are against violence. These gang-affiliated individuals pose a real danger to our children and our neighborhoods. The group claims that rising crime in parts of Austin is directly tied to illegal gang activity and believes that aggressive ICE operations will deter future offenses. Their view is echoed by several law enforcement unions across states like Arizona, Florida, and North Carolina, where officers report feeling unsupported in the past when trying to address gang-related crimes involving undocumented individuals. To them, the current operation is not only necessary, it is overdue. But critics are just as vocal and growing in number. Professor Sarah Pierce, a senior fellow at the Migration Policy Institute, warns that gang affiliation is a dangerously vague term. It often relies on subjective or outdated evidence, like tattoos, prior associations, or unverified claims from informants. According to her research, this lack of precision has led to numerous wrongful detentions over the years, particularly affecting Latino and Black immigrant communities. Civil rights groups such as the American Civil Liberties Union and Human Rights Watch have also condemned the operation, accusing ICE of using fear as a tool of policy. Their public statements stress that immigration enforcement should not come at the cost of due process, human dignity, or racial profiling. On social media, the divide is stark. One popular post from a user in Florida reads that ICE is finally cleaning up what politicians ignored for too long. If you have nothing to hide, you have nothing to fear. Meanwhile, another viral post by a teacher in California counters by saying she had 3 students crying in class today, and one of them whispered that they took her mom this morning. This is not justice, it is cruelty. These contrasting narratives reveal a nation torn between two instincts to protect its borders and to preserve its humanity. As enforcement continues, the question remains, where should America draw the line between security and compassion? As the situation unfolds in real time, social media has become both a megaphone and a minefield. Platforms such as X, Facebook, and TikTok are flooded with personal stories, footage of ICE operations, conspiracy theories, and emotionally charged opinions, often blurring the line between verified fact and viral fiction. Within hours of the reported raids, hashtags such as ICE Storm Protect Our Families and Deport the Dangerous began trending, simultaneously reflecting a deeply fractured national psyche. While one group celebrates the crackdown as a step toward law and order, others decry it as an assault on vulnerable communities. One viral video posted by a self-identified Texas resident shows a line of unmarked ICE vehicles outside a warehouse, captioned as hundreds of gang members being loaded up. America is taking its country back. The post garnered over 1.2 million views, yet no official confirmation or local news reports support the video's claims. In fact, several independent fact-checkers have pointed out that the footage was taken from a 2023 unrelated operation. In contrast, a widely shared video from a California school teacher shows her 5th-grade classroom in tears after one student learns her parent has been detained. This is not law enforcement, the teacher narrates. This is trauma policy. The video struck a nerve, drawing support from educators, psychologists, and immigrant rights advocates across the country. The spread of unverified numbers has also added fuel to the fire. Some posts claim that ICE has arrested over 11,000 and deported 100,000 dollars since Trump returned to office, figures that are grossly inflated and not supported by Department of Homeland Security or ICE data. These exaggerations are often amplified by political influencers and anonymous accounts, making them difficult to trace and even harder to contain. Experts warn that this kind of misinformation has real-world consequences. According to a March 2025 report from the Washington Post, false IC sighting alerts have caused school closures, work absences, and panic buying in immigrant-heavy neighborhoods. Some local police departments have even issued statements asking residents not to trust unverified ICE tip-offs from social media. In a landscape where fear spreads faster than facts, the role of social media is both crucial and dangerous. It has become the modern front line where truth must fight to be heard over the noise, and where the emotional impact of policy is most vividly displayed. Beyond the emotional toll and political debate, the recent wave of immigration enforcement is sending tangible shockwaves through the United States economy and legal system, raising pressing questions about who ultimately bears the cost of these operations. Economically undocumented immigrants play a critical role in several labor-intensive sectors. A 2025 study from the Center for American Progress reports that undocumented workers make up 14% of the construction workforce and 12% of agricultural labor. These individuals are not fringe participants. They are foundational to industries that power the nation's housing and food supply. With ICE detentions surging, employers in states like California, Texas, and Florida are already reporting labor shortages. According to a March 2025 report from UC Davis, if just 50% of undocumented agricultural workers were removed from the workforce, agricultural output could drop by up to 20%, resulting in billions in economic losses and potential increases in food prices. At a construction site in Dallas, a project manager told CNN that they have had to delay 2 major builds this month because half of their team did not show up. They are scared or gone. Similar reports are emerging from factories, restaurants, and even healthcare facilities employing undocumented workers in support roles. Legally, the pressure is also mounting. Civil liberties organizations are preparing to challenge aspects of the current operations in court. Allegations include racial profiling, wrongful detentions, and lack of due process. One major legal concern is ICE's increased reliance on algorithmic tools and facial recognition, which some civil rights experts claim lack adequate safeguards and have shown bias in past audits. In response, a bipartisan group of lawmakers introduced a bill in March 2025 seeking oversight and transparency in federal immigration, data collection, and usage, but it has yet to pass committee. Meanwhile, the detention system is reaching its breaking point. According to the Guardian, ICE detention facilities held over 48,000 individuals in March 25, percent above their design capacity. Overcrowding has led to deteriorating conditions, limited access to legal counsel, and delays in immigration court proceedings. These cascading effects suggest that the consequences of the current crackdown extend far beyond border control. They ripple through the economy, the justice system, and the very fabric of everyday American life, impacting not only undocumented individuals, but citizens, businesses, and institutions as well. As the raids intensify and headlines grow louder, the United States finds itself standing at a moral and political crossroads. The dilemma is no longer just about enforcement, it is about identity. What kind of nation does America choose to be in the face of fear, migration, and global complexity? Supporters of the crackdown argue that law is law. To them, upholding the integrity of the immigration system means following through on deportation orders, removing criminal elements, and restoring order to what they see as a broken process. They believe the government has finally reclaimed control after years of neglect and indecision. Yet for others, the images emerging from today's operations tell a different story: of children watching parents taken away, of longtime neighbors disappearing overnight, of entire communities moving from trust to terror. To them, these are not signs of restored order, but of fractured humanity. Ethically, the conversation has expanded beyond policy into the realm of values. According to a Pew Research Center survey conducted in April 2025, 51% of Americans support deporting undocumented immigrants, while 44% believe in granting humanitarian protections. The country is split almost evenly, mirroring the emotional split playing out in homes, schools, and city streets. Compounding this tension is the lack of transparency. ICE's limited public disclosures and vague criteria for labeling individuals as gang members leave many wondering who gets targeted next and what safeguards exist for the innocent caught in the dragnet. Even if these operations reduce illegal migration or crime in the short term, they may also erode public trust, economic stability, and America's image as a nation of immigrants in the long run.